Right, friends, here we are at the end of week 2. First and foremost, celebrating you, sending confetti through the screen towards you, celebrating everything you've done in this last 2 weeks. Again, whether that's just showing up and listening to these videos, and just letting it starting to steep. Maybe you're making like really big changes, whatever it is, celebrating all that has happened in the last 2 weeks. 14 days, a lot can really happen in 14 days. So let's use this time to assess how the last couple weeks have gone. What did you notice from week 1 to week 2? For me, it felt like week 2 just like zipped really fast. Uh, you know, for you, what do you feel like is working? What do you feel like is not working? For me, switching my focus to my lymph for week 2, that was really helpful. It felt really good. It felt like what my body needed. And so that was incorporating some face massage, some body massage. I elevated my feet up the wall. It's called the legs up the wall pose, where you basically sit, your butt and back are laying down, your feet are essentially up the wall. It feels really good. It's great for your nervous system. So those were some of my big focuses these weeks. And then massaging through like behind my knees, those hip creases, different areas to really help the lymph move through my body and help support that aspect. So my goal for next week, I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm gonna sit with it over the weekend, over the next few days, and just see. I'm feeling like it's probably gonna be like movement and like workouts. So what that looks like for me, along with getting 10,000 steps, that's been an awesome goal for me. I've hit it every day, even when I didn't think I was going to hit it. I managed to pull it off. But I feel like this coming week it's probably going to be workouts. So I really just like to use videos. I used to do a lot of working out in groups. I love that. If you have that available, highly recommend exercising with a group. The social aspect, all that is so wonderful. For me, it's just tricky, just the logistics, and taking that extra time to get to and from an actual class. I'm just not in a great phase of life for that right now. But I love videos and they're super easy. I like that I can choose a 10-minute or a 30-minute, kind of anything. And there are a couple different groups I subscribe to that I usually use their videos. If you would like more info on those, let me know in the comments and I can share those with you. Otherwise, I'm trusting that if working out and exercising in a more organized way is one of your goals, you have a plan in place. But again, happy to talk about any of it. Looking at day yesterday, that felt like a really big helpful one for me in identifying. I'm sorry, 2 days ago, day 12, it was identifying patterns and looking at things that have always stopped me from my goals in the past. I could almost feel them like being like these big heavy things that I just assumed would always have to be there. So starting to look at them and not looking at them with judgment, identifying my patterns. Like I said, one was snacking while making dinner. That's one. It was just like something I did. It was mindless. I did it, and it just always felt like after. Like I kind of more always noticed it after the fact. I'm like, why did I do that? Like that was totally unnecessary. So now, in the last couple days, I've started making a plan for that time. And so, what can I do differently? What would you do differently? What would your suggestions be to prevent that from happening? And then, so for you, what are some of the regular blocks that you come up against? I'd love to know. You're welcome to share them in the comments. And what have you noticed? Like, keep going through this throughout the 90 days because you'll likely find different things pop up, or that you get to new layers of understanding with kind of the same, you'll find the same themes keep popping up in different ways. So let this be 90 days be like free therapy for you as well. So the more you can kind of dig in and self-reflect, the more transformation you are going to experience. So, all right, we're back to assessing this week. Look at your metrics. At the very beginning of this challenge, you came up with a plan. You decided, you were looking at your goals and creating actions. And a few days in, we did an assessment. We're like, what were the things that felt like needed to change for you? Was it something with your mind, with your body, something else? What were your goals? And like, where did you score yourself on your assessment? You can flip back if you journaled, however you did that, go back and take a look at those again. How are you feeling mind wise? You may find you're feeling worse in some ways, and that is part of the process of transformation and change. It's not always like a clear linear upswing. A lot of times there can be some rockiness as you're kind of like unearthing and pulling out old ways of doing things. It's like it can feel kind of like things are worse in a way, but it's just you're establishing a new normal. So trust the process, keep going, keep self-assessing. Look at your information again, like if you're doing measurements, weight, again, not my favorite, but whatever you're doing, just take that information and document it. Use that as a way to help guide your next week's steps. If you're finding your food choices are not great, what could you do to support yourself for next week? Could you choose different things at the grocery store? Could you take some time to look at some recipe books before you go to the grocery store so you feel excited about the food you're going to be eating? Just a couple examples. What else? Post in the comments here too, like what are some ways that you're finding success? What tips do you have for others for what you're finding that works for you? We'd love to hear it. Again, thank you so much for being here as we wrap up this second week. Cheering you on, cannot wait to get into week 3. We've got 12 weeks to do this together. So again, like I've mentioned before, this is a marathon. Allow for, some days are going to be harder, some days are going to be easier. And wherever you are on any given day, trusting that overall you are making moves towards, like we said before, instead of that unconscious off track, we're eventually getting here. So you've got this. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.